Welcome to A Whaler's Feast, presented by the Whaling Museum and Education Center of Cold Spring Harbor, New York. Today, we'll talk about what it was like to celebrate Thanksgiving out at sea and learn a little bit about what some of these whalers would eat while they were out in the middle of the ocean. Did you know, hundreds of years ago, people called whalers sailed around the world hunting whales? Why did people hunt whales in the first place? Well, people used to use whales to make a lot of very important things. Take a look at this image. This is an advertisement from 1827 for dish soap made out of whales. Mostly, whale blubber, a thick layer of fat, was used to make oil to light lamps and help machines run smoothly. Baleen, thin flexible strips that help some whales eat, was used to make umbrellas, fishing poles, and even underwear. You could make a lot of money hunting whales, but it was difficult and dangerous work. What was life like on board a whale ship? How did these people live? Whales could be hard to find. Sometimes whalers from New York and New England had to travel all the way to the Pacific Ocean before they could even find any whales to hunt. If you were a whaler living in New York, you would start your journey here, off the coast, and have to travel all the way around South America before you could finally find the whales living in the Pacific. Whale ships couldn't travel that quickly. So a whaler might be away on a voyage for 3 to 5 years. That's 3 to 5 years away from your home, your family, and your friends. How do you think that made whalers feel? A lot of whalers reported feeling sad and homesick while they were out at sea. One thing the captain could do to lift the spirits of his crew was to celebrate holidays out at sea. He couldn't let his whalers go home for the holidays, but he could bring the celebrations to them on board the whale ship. So, what holidays did whalers celebrate? 200 years ago, most Americans only celebrated 3 major holidays: the 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Believe it or not, Christmas was originally the least popular of those 3 holidays, even though it's pretty big today. People in the 1800s preferred the 4th of July and Thanksgiving because they wanted to celebrate being American, and those 2 holidays made them feel patriotic. Food is usually a big part of holiday celebration. What kind of food did whalers usually eat? Well, it was hard to keep food fresh on a whale ship. Remember, they didn't have refrigerators back then. Things would get rotten pretty easily. Because of that, before beginning a voyage, ships would stock up on preserved food, things like dried beans, salted meat, and rice. These are the kind of foods you would usually store in your pantry. They would be okay, not refrigerated, and wouldn't go bad for a long time. Hardtack, or ship's biscuits, was a common preserved food on a whale ship. Because this thick, rock-hard cracker had almost no moisture in it, it wouldn't get moldy like bread would. Sometimes hardtack was the only food on a ship that wasn't rotten. One captain's wife wrote, "I am sick for the want of something decent to eat. I believe we have had nothing on board the ship that is not either wormy or stinks except hard bread," meaning hardtack. Salt horse, or dried meat, was also typical. The name of this food came from the fact that it was salted to preserve it, and because in addition to beef and pork meat, horse meat was sometimes used. Yuck. Some ships also kept livestock on board. The best way to have fresh meat like chicken out at sea was to keep the animals alive for as long as possible before cooking and eating them. If they wanted fresh meat or fish, whalers would also sometimes hunt sea animals. Ship cooks got used to preparing meals out of sea turtles, seabirds, fish, and even dolphins. When supplies ran really low, ships could stop at various ports and stock up on local foods. In the Pacific, whalers got to eat bananas, plantains, coconuts, and papayas. Lots of food that they probably wouldn't have gotten to try back home. So what kind of food did whalers eat on Thanksgiving? Did they have a special meal like we do today? The kind of food whalers ate at Thanksgiving and Christmas depended on the captain. If the captain was mean and stingy, the crew would only eat their regular rations of hard bread and stale food. If the captain was generous, the crew would have a larger meal using whatever food they happened to have on board at the time. This might be things like seafood, oysters that they would catch, mangoes or papayas that they would buy from local places, and maybe some turkey if the captain had had a live turkey on board. When Eliza Edwards sailed on her husband's whale ship, she wrote about her meal. She wrote, "We had roast turkey just as tender and nice as it could be, besides vegetables, oyster stew, and mince pie." Here you see an interesting combination of traditional food, like turkey, with seafood, something that would have been easy for whalers to get. No matter how yummy the feast, though, most whalers wrote that life on a whale ship was tough, and that they still missed their family during the holidays. And that they were always very thankful when they finally got to go home. What are you thankful for this year? Let's do a craft that helps us reflect on what we're grateful for. Thankful Turkey Craft. To make this craft along with us, you'll need the following materials: a toilet paper tube, construction paper, a pencil, marker, scissors, and glue. To make this craft, gather your materials up together. Then we'll start with a piece of brown construction paper if you have it. Use your tube to mark off the height. We want to cut a piece of paper that's exactly the same height as the tube so that we can wrap around it. Use a straight edge like a ruler, or here I'm using a piece of paper, to draw a line, and then use some scissors to cut this out. If you don't have brown construction paper, you can also color regular paper brown, or you can draw directly onto your toilet paper tube. This brown paper that we've cut out, we're going to glue onto the tube to be the body of our turkey. So using a glue stick, I'm going to put a lot of glue on one side of this construction paper. Then I'm going to take my toilet paper tube and roll it up onto the sticky side of the paper. I'm going to use my fingers to press down on the seam and hold it until the glue dries. When the glue is all dry, I'm going to draw a turkey face onto my toilet paper tube. Using a marker, I'm going to start with the eyes, draw 2 circles, and then a little triangle for the beak. You can draw as much or as little of this turkey face as you want. You can also use other materials besides markers. If you have orange construction paper, you can make a beak very easily by just cutting off a small corner of the paper and gluing that triangle on to your toilet paper tube. This way you have a bright orange beak. While that dries, you can make the wings of your turkey. To make the wings, I'm going to draw a large upside down teardrop shape onto some more brown construction paper. To make sure that my wings fit, I'm going to put the toilet paper tube next to it to measure. And then because I want 2 wings to look just the same, I'm going to fold this paper over and cut it out this way so that I end up with two wing shapes that match exactly. See, there I've got my two wings. Now I need glue to attach those wings to my turkey. So come back with your glue stick or your liquid glue. You can also use tape if you don't have glue at home. And put a little bit of glue onto the largest part of the wing. And then just stick your glue onto the side of your turkey. And there you've got a little turkey. I'm going to set that piece aside to dry while we continue with the rest of our craft. I want to add some feathers to the back of my turkey for a beautiful tail. So I'm taking other pieces of colored construction paper and I'm going to draw a feather shape on them. It's easy, just two sort of arcs like this that have pointed ends. Now you can draw multiple different feathers, or like we did with the wings, you can draw one feather shape, fold your paper, and cut. So you get the same feather repeated more than once. If you don't have colored construction paper at home, again, this is really easy to do using just regular paper that you've colored with crayons, colored pencils, or markers. Then cut it out just like we're doing here. Once you've got all your feather shapes, it's time to write what we're thankful for. I'm going to take each feather and write something that I've been thankful for this past year, like friends, family. You can have a grown-up help you with this, or if writing is not really your cup of tea, you can also draw something that you're thankful for. I think I'm thankful for friends, school, my pet, and of course, my family. You can make as many or as few tail feathers as you like. I would suggest making at least 3, but you can have as many as 6 or 7 on this turkey, as many as will fit. Once you've written down all of your thankful feathers, it's time to tape or glue them to the back of your turkey. So take your feather and a glue stick or some tape, and you want to glue them to the back side of your turkey. When you do this, fan the feathers out. You don't want them stacked directly on top of one another because you won't be able to read them or see them all at the same time. Here we have ours arranged in a lovely turkey tail feather display. And that's it. Leave your turkey to dry, and then when it's done, you can use it to decorate your Thanksgiving table. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you had a good time learning about Thanksgiving on a whale ship and making a fun craft with us. Here at the Whaling Museum, one thing we're very grateful for this year is all of you. We hope to see you soon.